Good morning, good afternoon and good evening to everyone around the globe, wherever you may be, and welcome to this another of our series of intimate conversations. And our guest today is the gorgeous Helen Barnes from New Zealand, Aotearoa. So I will hand it over to welcome Helen, and I'll hand it over to Janine to introduce you.
Hello, Helen. It's so lovely to be here with you and to be sharing the next hour in conversation with you.
It's lovely to be here. Thank you, Janine and Mandy.
I'll read out your bio. This is in your words. Hi, I'm Helen Barnes, and I'm passionate about soul development and making the most of this playground we call planet Earth. As a child, I was full of enchantment for the unseen as well as the seen worlds. Today's world can be very confusing, and one of the skills I've developed is to trust my inner authority. Let me just say I'm an ongoing work in progress, as this is a big ask, given the amount of power and control we have thrown at us daily. There is an authority on everything out there, and yet what greater authority is there than our own divine wisdom and internal radar? I love helping people to explore their potential as a soul having a human experience and stepping beyond the perceived constraints of belief and programs imposed by the mind. The journey from the head to the heart is the most significant journey we can choose to embark upon. I value my heart's intelligence above all, and am constantly developing my organic, intuitive self to navigate my way through life. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And your knowing of yourself and life is deeply aligned with my own. So yeah, I really hear you and I see you, Helen. So again, I say it's lovely that you're here. Lovely that you're here with us today.
Thank you so much. It's always fun to come and just chat and hang out with some other goddesses, and especially at the moment where a lot of conversations are shall I say of a lower vibration, so it's nice to have these high vibe conversations and to really delve into who we are, who we truly are. So I'm looking forward to sharing some of the insights that I've gained along the way, really, that I think hopefully can help some people. Just thank you. And thank you to all the people, the viewers that come on as well.
Okay. I'd love to start off today with the question, who is Helen Barnes? Many who will listen to this conversation, of course, know you well, but for those that don't, would you share some of your life journey with us all?
Funnily, when you say that, I remember up in Kerikeri, Mandy, several years ago, and I remember coming to one of your gatherings there and saying, my name is Helen Barnes, but I'm a multidimensional being of light. And that was how I started. I remember that. I present to you as a multidimensional being here in physical form. And it's kind of important that I say that, because at some point I really want to talk about who we are and how important that is to living fearlessly, particularly. But, I was born in Auckland. I was born in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And I did see a lot of things. When I was a child, I had a lot of imaginary friends, and I was told I had a vivid imagination and all those things that, parents who don't understand spirituality, my parents didn't really. And so I kind of, I guess, shut it down until my brother died, really was my great awakening. My brother was 29 and I was 27. And I suddenly almost immediately woke up and knew who I was, remembered who I was, and then after that I began a journey to really to be authentically who I am. And that took it was a path that took me down lots of different avenues. I did a lot of workshop work on myself. I spent 2 years really exploring everything I could. I think I became a real workshop junkie. And then I left the corporate world. I had a very, quite a big job in the corporate world, and that didn't align with me anymore. And it took a lot of courage because I had a lot of financial security. So I put my big girl pants on and stepped out of that world, and never looked back really. And that was in like the late 1990s. So I've been doing this and been supported by Spirit to do this for a very long time. And in 2006, I got taken to Egypt to go on an adventure there. I actually went early in 2006, but by November 2006, I'd met and married my beautiful Egyptian husband, who you met, Janine.
Yes.
And spent 5 years living in Egypt, going through the most phenomenal expansion of myself that I could have imagined, and taking people on journeys. And then that ran its course, as things do, and I came back to New Zealand. And in the last couple of years, about 3 years ago, I made a choice to take care of my mum, who's actually now 96 and still hanging in there. So I stepped back a little bit from my work. But, I've worked on myself a lot in the last few years. I've had a couple of health challenges, which have been a bit of a shock to me. This is, Helen Barnes, the healer, who's been helping everybody else, suddenly has to heal herself. And that's brought me to a place of humility, because at first it was shame. I had to deal with the shame, and amazing what comes up. But anyway, here I am. And just very, very keen to talk to people at the moment about really remembering why we're here. This time on our planet has, been talked about and prophesized and everything else. And more than ever, it's really important that we dig in and remember, that we came here with a purpose. And funnily enough, I had my birthday at the end of October, and I said to a friend of mine, I'm going to celebrate today that years, I won't say how many years ago, a good number of years ago, a few decades ago, I lined up and I put my ballot paper in, and I said, I want to go to Earth because I want to be there when this great, shift in consciousness takes place. And, and I got selected, and I was so excited. And so today I really want to celebrate my excitement about being here, because sometimes at the moment it feels a bit tough, and sometimes it's like, okay, I have to remind myself, I came here, there are no coincidences. I'm here for a reason. We're all here for a reason. And those of us that are, I'll use the word awakened, because that's, I think, we've got to sleep and awakened at the moment. That's why we're here, and we're here to really, really hold our light. So, that's me. I live with 2 gorgeous dogs, and I live in Whangarei. I'm just very grateful that I'm here. I know who I am, and I can have these wonderful connections with people who, I don't know whether it's, people say like-minded, I don't know, soul-minded, the soul family. I have a beautiful soul family to connect with. So very blessed.
How beautiful. How beautiful. You were saying just before, thank you for sharing yourself too, Helen, but you said in there about living fearlessly. And while it's pretty obvious that fear is very prevalent in people at the moment, how long do you feel humanity's been living like this in the state of fear?
So, thank you. I'd like to talk about living fearlessly for a bit today, because it's a topic I'm very passionate about. We've been living in fear for eons of time. We've been programmed. We've been really programmed to think negatively, to be scared, to be in a state of lack of, all of those things that are fearless states. When I was doing this work in the kind of early 2000s, I used to say to people, and I had no idea that today I'd be looking back and laughing at it. I used to say to people, Earth's in a fear pandemic. We're in a fear pandemic. And, and we've been quarantined. That was what my understanding was from Spirit at that time. We were in a fear pandemic and we had been quarantined. So we've been grappling with fear for a long time. Now, excuse me, I just need to blow my nose. The thing is that when we came into this, shall we call it playground of planet Earth, we came to experience who we were, and to know who we truly were as consciousness, we needed to know what we weren't. So we came into the world of duality. That's the simple way that I explain it. And in the world of duality, we have a negative pole and a positive pole. So we have love and we have fear, or the other way around, negative fear and love, positive. So we were always going to be exposed to fear in order to choose love and find our way home. Yeah. But we got lost in the fear. And so it's been with us for a very, very long time. And I was pondering this morning when I was kind of meditating before I came on the call, you know, what is the most important thing about living fearlessly? And there are lots of tools and there are things we can do. But the thing I really wanted to say first and foremost is we must know who we are. Mm. And I am, you know, consciousness in a human form. I am the love and light of creation. Any of those, there's many ways we can describe ourselves. But the thing that's really important is we don't identify with our human beingness in terms of that being who we are, because that is where our mind and our fears and our programs all exist. So I thought it would be really great, as one thing to offer today, is that every morning wake up and go, who am I? I'm consciousness and I'm having a human experience. And when you go to bed at night, say, thank you, conscious being, for helping me get through today with an awareness of who I truly am. You know, because that, you can't be in fear if you're acknowledging who you truly are, you know, and that feels to me like a really simple thing that people can do. So that was one of the things. And you know, the other thing is we're energy. We're all energy. And I kind of like that saying that, you know, I'm a whole lot of molecules, you know, hurling through space on Earthship Gaia, you know, at 1,000,000 miles an hour. You know, it's like, and so again, you know, we're energy, and as energy, where we put our thoughts is, you know, where we put our focus is going to create everything that we experience. So to live fearlessly, we have to choose to, you know, think in that way of, I'm a conscious being, I am energy, and therefore I'm not experiencing this denser vibration, you know, the density of the vibration. And unfortunately now, the density of the vibration, because of the fear in the field, is very high. So, you know, I have days when I get a bit unhinged by it all. I do. And then I come back to, actually, why am I here? Oh, yeah, I'm here to shine my light. And, you know, for many years, people would come to me for readings and things, and they'd say, you know, what's my purpose? And I remember, you know, Spirit and myself always used to start, and I'd say to them, you'll be disappointed with the first thing that we're going to say to you. You're here to be your light, you know, and yes, you can do a lot of things. What you do, that's really what you're asking me, you know, what is my purpose? You know, I'm here to do healing or to do this or to do that. But actually, you're here to be your light. And so what is light? Light is love and light. So, you know, I'm here to be love in action. You know, how does love in action work? So if I'm love in action, I can't be fearful. You know, you can't be in fear and love at the same time. And I know a lot of people that are going to listen to this and are going to be part of this know all this. But, you know, I feel like at the moment we've got to remind ourselves, if I want to live fearlessly, I've got to remind myself that I've got to bring love to everything, every thought I have, every action, you know, and really be in that place where there isn't room for the fear, you know, there isn't room, because we can observe it, you know, we can observe the fear. That's not a problem. There's no problem with observing stuff. It's when we give our power away to it. You know, it's when we go into, and, you know, I've been triggered recently with some anger, you know. In fact, I had to do a past life clearing because I saw myself right on the battle lines, you know, in my great warriorness. And I had to do a bit of clearing of that because I didn't want to keep that with me. But obviously, you know, when if anger's triggered or anything is triggered, disappointment's triggered, any of those emotions, they just take us into our fear, you know. And so we have to stay in this really constant place of compassion and love and, acceptance, loving acceptance. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just saying to Janine earlier before we came on that, I doubted that I was even going to make it through because I didn't have much compassion for what, a lot of what's going on, and that there was I had to process the shame or the guilt around not having all this compassion. And I think a lot of people, and I know I'm hearing a lot of people say that they don't believe in the spiritual now because what they're seeing is that no matter how much they're trying to create a better world, it's not happening. They're not getting the validation. They're not seeing that it's being backed up by anything. And I can understand that, it's difficult.
Absolutely.
Stay loving it. I don't think there's anyone out there loving this, No,
exactly. And, and what you say is absolutely right. And so part of that living fearlessly is also to deepen our level of trust, absolutely trust. I mean, one of the things that Spirit said to me a while ago was, let me just get it right. You haven't done anything wrong. There is no one to blame. Trust the divine plan, and it's like, so we've always known there was a divine plan. Did I think the divine plan was going to land us in this place at some point? Hell no. None of us did, but now we do have to go, actually, I have to trust there is a divine plan. And sometimes I can see the dots joining a little bit. Sometimes in all the chaos and what seems to be, things that could be going so wrong, I think, oh yeah, well, that'll probably lead to some awakening somewhere down the track, kind of thing. So absolutely trust. We're having to really, really dig deeper. And
absolutely. Yeah. Sorry. Yep.
No, go.
And I see, like if I sit in my little world, in our space of our home and our life, we're all good, and if I can pull back to that and just be that for a while during the day, most days or every day, that helps me to get through. But, you step outside of that and you forget who and what you're really here doing, it gets very overwhelming. And I think for those, again, I'm seeing those who haven't got a belief in a sense of their higher being or any type of spiritual connection or connection to self in any way. I know how difficult it is for us who are awake and who are aware and know and see the bigger picture and understand that. I feel for those who have none of that, who aren't seeing the bigger picture, who don't understand it, who just see it as being, victims.
Well, that's where we come in. When I say we, people such as us that have been on that inner journey for most of our lives and realise that the world, the true world, the real world, reality itself is actually inside us. So for me personally, if I start to feel I'm going down a little, I'm getting heavier, I realise that my focus has been outside of myself too long. That's my trigger. I feel, because this is how I live. I feel my response to life, and it's like, what's happening with me here? Time to pull right back, come back into my reality. So whereas you were saying your home, your family, like that's your safe haven, well, too, Mandy, and of course, Helen, that the safest haven of all is that one within us. And that's why the world is like it is outside there, because it's only through that presenting as it is right now that we're those that are awakening to themselves are starting to come in. And often it does take being with somebody that already knows that journey inward to take those steps, to understand how to do it.
So what in amongst that is, do you feel that's the main reason really, Helen, that people become disempowered? Is their loss and their awareness of self and
Yeah, definitely. And their lack of to an extent, their lack of self-love as well, their lack of believing in themselves, because from self-love comes self-worth, belief, self-care, all of those things. But yeah, definitely. There's such a beautiful place within when we really come into that alignment, and we really know who we are. We're in that real core. I call it when I'm in my core being, and there's such a strength. There's such a strength in me. And then the outside world, I allow that in, which is what you've been talking about too, Janine. Allow the outside world in, and all of a sudden I can be, I'm all over the place. I've lost my balance. I've lost my core. I've lost my center. So yeah, very much so. Keeping our center, keeping our core. And, this thing about knowing who we are, I know I've started talking about it, but I'll just revisit it briefly again. Staying strong to my core is me knowing who I am, and I'm not my personality that needs to seek authority outside of myself. I'm not my personality self who says, oh, I don't know that. I don't know how to do that. My essential self, my God self, whatever words, my soul self knows exactly what to do. But I have to be within. I have to be in really good connection with myself. And then the power that comes from that, the empowerment that comes from it, is just huge. I'm strong. I'm strong in myself.
And that goes back to trust, doesn't it, Helen? What you were talking about before. We've got to start really trusting in ourselves and the power of ourselves and what all that means.
Yeah, absolutely. This inner authority that I came upon, it was way before this world event chaos that we're in at the moment started. I came across this thing where it was like, why would anybody, well, no, that's not true. I won't say it that way. Let's take an election as an example, a political election, and you've got people standing up, but I'm for this and we're for this and we're for that. And, somebody could look at it and go, oh, yes, do those values match my values? And is this the thing? And, oh, who do I want to represent me? And that's a mind jungle, right? So it's a complete mind jungle. Come in here into my inner authority and go, who in my being do I want to represent me?
Yeah.
And the answer will be there. The answer will be there. And, in the big picture, we don't want any authority really, we know, but for now, while we have governments in place, this was prior to this, it's actually, yes, my inner authority will tell me. My inner authority will tell me what I'm going to do. So I will share a little bit about my health journey last year. And I was given a diagnosis, and I then had to, I was then presented with the medical model of what would happen, what my treatment plan would be. And from the moment I was spoken to and told, so we'll do this and we'll do this and we'll do this and we'll do this, which was the way that they dealt with it, I went, oh no, my body, my journey. And it was really clear. And that was really clear because of my inner being, me knowing my inner authority. And I actually said to I said, look, can we just make something really clear that I will listen to everything you have to say, but I will be making choices that are right for me. And I did say, and that particular treatment you got on the table, hell will probably freeze over before I have that, but and it was good, because I actually then got a letter where this person, this specialist, was saying, and Helen is very clear about her path and what she's going to do, and will be open to alternative things as well. I had this doctor writing that because I had claimed my power in all of that. And when you think about what's going on now, this is the thing, it is my body. My inner authority is the only one that can tell me what's right for me. The only one.
And if you use that as a symbol for what is actually going on in the world today, Helen, if we all came to our inner authority instead of the authorities outside of us, we wouldn't be where we are now. This world wouldn't be where it is now, you know.
Exactly.
So, and that is just what it's all about. You call it your inner authority or your inner being, and I call it my heart. It's exactly the same thing, you know. And I often say to people, you just stand in the moment that you're in, and whatever you're in, you just say, how would love react to this? How would love what would love say to this? You know, what would love's response be? And take it from your feeling. So exactly the same thing as what you're saying. And just to get back to your health journey, you're looking great here on the screen today. So obviously your inner being knew what it was doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And yeah, I was very, very fortunate that I was surrounded by an awful lot of people as well that sent me lots of healing and very blessed. But yeah, I'm very happy to have come through it, and it's probably made me very clear now as well. Although I tend to think I probably would have been anyway. But imagine the power of that, of all of us standing together, because we're a collective. You're not separate from me. I mean, yes, you're in a vessel that is giving us the illusion of our separateness. But imagine the power when we all go. I go, wow, I'm in my own authority, and we're sitting as three people here, all in our inner authority. Imagine the power of that connection that can then ripple out. And so people at this time, I think it is really important to be supporting each other and to be really saying, and this is why no matter what decision people make through this situation that we're in, we must honor that, because we must honor it. Going into judgment isn't going to fix anything. Going into judgment is just going to feed the discrimination and whatever else. So even though my inner authority comes from I call it divine inspiration. It comes from a higher place, and somebody else who maybe hasn't connected with that yet, it's coming from their head still and their programming, but it's still, for now, is their inner authority to them. And so really honoring that for everybody. But yeah, really looking for that, because so many people have turned it off. So many people have turned it off because they've lost their connection. Yeah, they've lost their connection with who they are. And so yes, and that, can I lead into this internal radar? Because Spirit talked to me about when we lived in, as an example, Atlantean times, and of course I'm talking about the halcyon days, the golden age, because the other bits are a bit too similar to where we're at now, if you go there. In the golden age, we had our pineal gland working and in much greater capacity, full capacity. And so we had this radar that could pick up everything that was presenting in the field, and it literally could go yep, and literally bring in what we knew to be truth and what was right, and then just eliminated anything that wasn't, or anything that was, let me say, in discordance with us, and so we had this radar. And of course we've been dumbed down over time, that we have been through a devolution. There's no doubt about that. And so we don't have that radar. And so I've had people say to me, well, how do you switch it back on? And I said, just do that. I command my internal radar, switch on now, baby. I need you now more than ever. Because then when you're sweeping the field, you've got a lot more, well, you're feeling, it's like your feeling is you're then feeling with what's happening, your intuition, if you like, or your instinct, whatever people want to call it. You're actually then feeling, and you can go, oh yep, that's a truth for me, and then once that radar is working, then the inner authority can go, oh yeah, yep, whoop, no, and so those two things work really well together. So let's activate our inner radar again if we feel it's been dumbed down, really get it moving.
100%. Back in those golden days of Atlantis, we were finely tuned in our pineal gland and in so many areas of ourself. But now in this new golden era that's coming back up again, we're going to know ourselves as deeply heart-centered too, which wasn't quite known back then in those days. So we're going to have it all this time. We're going to have the awareness of the all of ourselves this time. And I was surprised when it was shown to me that back in that golden age, the heart wasn't used near as much as the third eye and the gut instinct and those parts of us. But this time, this is coming into full-blown openness as well. So we're going to have even more of ourselves. We're going to have the all of ourselves here now in this new golden age, which is exciting.
Fantastic.
This life was about wholing, so bringing back all the fragmented parts left in all the ether, lifetimes and timelines everywhere, and over eons of time, every time we transitioned in, my belief was that we brought in and we worked with one chakra, and this time we're with the heart. That was our main mission, to get there.
Yeah, to remember.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I often say to people, I trust my heart's intelligence more than any other intelligence in my body. Like my heart's intelligence is it, it's like for me. And yet there's such a big disconnect for so many between the head and the heart, and that's because authority want us, if you look at it, I'll tell a little story about a friend of mine's son. And my friend is very fey, and when he was little, he used to stand on their property, which was on a cliff, and he used to look up and he'd go, ship, when he'd see the spaceships. And then he went to school, and after he went to school, he was taught that ships are on the ocean, and he'd still go up to on their property, and he'd go, ship. Oh, ship.
Oh,
but his mother, of course, told him that no, there were ships up there as well. Fortunately, he was fortunate with that. But you see, so we're taught all this knowledge that that contradicts and defies our own innate knowing. And so that's why authority have authority over us, because they say we're the ones with the knowledge. We're the ones with the knowledge. There's no greater knowledge than your connection with your higher intelligence and the field of the intelligent field that we're all part of. There's nothing greater than that. So this trust thing, trust who I am, and therefore don't sometimes I think at the moment we really have to say don't listen to a lot of the stuff that's out there, because even though there's a place to be aware, there's also a very great need for us to go, anything I need to know, I want to come from there. I want to come from my connection with the greater consciousness of all that is.
100%. 100% agree with you. So moving forward for those that will be listening to this and have awakened to the world in rapid change, but have yet to realize to turn their focus inward, what would in your knowing, Helen, what would the steps be, the first steps for them to actually start learning about that place within themselves?
So they have some awareness, a little bit of awareness.
They have an awareness that the world is nothing that they realized it was, that it's completely based on untruths, but have yet to realize that the actual awakening is happening within them, so they don't know to turn inward. What would be the first steps you would say for those brand new ones, brand new to themselves, to realize that there's so much more?
Well, the first thing, really, you have to disconnect to an extent from the external world and the fact that everything you your source of knowledge and your source of resource, it comes from outside of yourself.
Yeah.
So then you have to create some time alone, and that can be a really uncomfortable place when one first starts this journey, because we're so used to being stimulated by the external world. Isn't it great when we can ring up somebody and say, I've got a bit of a dilemma, what do you think I should do? And it's like, and your friend usually says exactly what you thought anyway. That's why you phoned that friend, because it's all, you picked the right one to complement your mind. That actually that it's engaging with your conscious being and your conscious self. So spending time in nature obviously is really good, being out in nature, spending time with self, and then starting to really observe how uncomfortable that place is, because and once you realize how uncomfortable it is, you can start to begin to actually choose that you'd like to feel in a better relationship with your inner being and yourself. I mean, meditation is really good, and there are so many resources online, of course, now, so many wonderful people offering things. Seeing a practitioner who can help you, particularly if, like, as Mandy says, if you've got, they're fragmented, we've got aspects of ourselves and soul that are fragmented. We need to bring those home. We need to be whole. And so having help with that would be a really good thing to do. And then, just finding people that you can have the conversation with, that, hey, this is actually who you are. You actually are an empowered, not an empowered being, but you're sovereign being. You are actually a sovereign being, and you can be a free thinker. But to do that, you have to come back to self and leave behind that support. Actually, that's it. Support of the external world. The external world has supported many for a long time. It's really propped us up. It's mean we haven't had to go within. We haven't had to look to find that deeper connection with self. So self-awareness as well, that's a big one, and self-awareness is, then you've got to love yourself enough to be self-aware to go, oh, actually, whoops, that's an aspect of myself I maybe, didn't, like for me, when I had honestly, when I first had a major health issue in my life, my first thing was shame, because I was a healer. What nonsense. I do that beat up job on myself, but that was it. So, know yourself, and then be prepared to, so really getting to know self. But I think having support, I think we find our tribe at the right time. And so maybe it's as simple as saying, I really want to go down, I want to go on this journey to reconnect with who I truly am, and so please help me.
And it's then finding the courage to actually listen when it's all good listening to that the inner commands and promptings. It's then having the courage to trust them and go ahead and take the action. And I know I used to balk at that occasionally, but most times I do it, and it always worked out for the best. But it's trusting that and getting, gaining as you do it, more and more you realise, yes, every time I've done this, it's worked out fine. But yes.
And trust, it's interesting. I some time ago I made this realization. I'm not sure whether somebody said it or it triggered in me anyway, that if we trust something and it doesn't work out, for example, in the way we thought it should that lovely word, should. If we don't trust again, we only learn distrust. Right, that's all we learn. So we stimulate the vibration of distrust rather than trust. So sometimes that courage is just being prepared to throw ourselves into it again and go
absolutely.
So,
I think the rewards in that is just amazing, really. Benefits.
I think that that courage is probably one of the first aspects of ourself that we need to find for the inner journey. Because even just to look at ourselves, even to go inward and be willing to look at ourselves, get to know ourselves, all parts of ourselves, that takes great courage. And that's what stops a lot of people from doing it, because they're in a state of low self-worth to begin with, don't like themselves at all, are used to an inner dialogue of self-beat up, and then we're asking them to go in there and look at themselves. Why would they want to do that? But you know, that's the greatest journey, isn't it? Because it's never as hard or as bad as we believe it's going to be. We are not as bad as we believe we are. So when we go in, we don't find near as much of that, the yuck that we thought was in there, that we thought we were going to find. So it turns out to be an amazing journey, In fact, is there any other journey to compare with it? But, you know, with the inner one, us to know to ourselves.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's interesting you say that, Janine, because, you know, in Egypt, I used to work with the deities over there, and Sekhmet is one of the, you know, she's the lioness goddess.
I remember her.
and she's got this amazing temple in Karnak, and there's a statue, a granite statue. And the ancient Egyptians believed that the consciousness of the deity lived within the statues that they created for them. And it's really palpable when you're in the room. And she's the one that I call on for courage. So I'm just wanting to share that with everybody today. Sekhmet is her. And there is a saying, and it's a chant, and sometimes I use it, and it's Sa, Sekhmet, Sekhmet, Sa. So Sa, Sekhmet, Sekhmet, Sa. So if I need a bit of extra courage, Sa, Sekhmet, Sekhmet, Sa, you know, and I start chanting it, you know, and she's phenomenal. And she helps us put boundaries around ourselves as well, because that's one of the other things. If people start this inner journey and they're surrounded by people who haven't yet awakened or aren't ready, you know, they're going to also have to create that boundary that says, well, I'm a free thinker and I'm going to do this for me. And I had to do that, you know, and I had this wonderful lesson. I had a partner at the time that I kind of started to really explore who I was. And I was really reluctant to tell him I was starting these courses, you know, and I thought, why am I reluctant? So I had a conversation with him one day, and I said to him, I'm really reluctant to tell you because you're going to go, oh, what are you doing that for, kind of thing, you know. And he said to me, why do you need my approval? I was like, wow, you know, actually I don't. I need mine. And I'm still feeling uncomfortable with this journey that I'm, you know. So it's, yeah, so that courage for sure. So if it is anybody out there that needs a bit of courage, you know, at any time, call on Sekhmet. She's great.
I remember that temple and the energy of her in there, and it was tangible. It was a physical thing in there, and you know, and I mean, we had another with us, and I remember the experience that other one in the room went through, who had very little belief in that sort of thing, and yet had a huge emotional experience in front of that statue. So it was an amazing time. Actually, the whole journey with you over there, Helen, was an amazing time many years ago. You were known as Doctor. I'm going off track here, but everywhere we went, they'd go, hello, Doctor, hello, because they thought that you brought your patients to all these sites for healing, you know.
Yeah.
So,
I know.
Awesome.
I know. Those were the days. It's not quite like that anymore. It was a really beautiful time to be there, actually. But I did lots of journeys with lots of people, and of course you were one of my first, actually, which was just magical.
It was a huge journey. I remember when you met me at the airport and you said, so you're here for your bottom 3 chakras, and I nearly socked you in the face because I've spent my whole life in the top chakras. There's no way I wanted to go down there. You know, I'll never forget that moment. I thought, what have I done? I've come all this way, spent all this money. You think I'm just going to go down in there for these weeks over here? Wow, what a journey that was, Helen. Oh my gosh.
Well, you know, that's the thing. The ancient Egyptians believed the shadow travels with you through all levels of consciousness, right through to enlightenment, you know. So, you know, it just, yeah. And so if you look at now where we're on the precipice of an amazing shift in consciousness
Yes.
as a collective and for, you know, for humanity. And yet the shadows probably at its most that we've ever seen it in our lifetimes anyway, you know. So that's the thing, shadow and light, you know, they're both there in the full kind of full blown at the moment, you know, and that's what we're experiencing, which is why it's so important that we remember, you know, why are we here, you know, and that just that, yeah, I did come here with a mission. I did come to anchor the new light. And that thing that you were saying too, Janine, about being in the heart and how we've come to be in our hearts. Sometimes I just put my hands over my heart and I go, I have a question and I just want my heart's intelligence to answer it. And it's like, for example, you know, we are going to get through this, aren't we? And it's like, listen, feel, drop in. Oh, of course we are. You know, it's like, yes, of course we are. Why did I doubt? You know, only the ego that doubted, you know. And so, yeah.
And I say to people often that the difference between asking the question to the mind and asking the question to the heart is the mind always needs time to think into it, to be logical, practical. There's always got to be space. The heart will be answering you even before you've finished asking the question. So the feeling is already there before you've even finished asking. So there's no time lapse. And if you believe there is a time lapse, if you've asked your heart and you're still waiting, you've gone up into your mind. So you're not in your heart. So
absolutely.
So Helen, what is? Can you explain a little bit more, maybe, if you can, around the new light as such, and you're terming it new light, and what do you feel we're heading into? Like, what does it look like to you that we're moving into?
Wow. So this, I really feel to answer that in the way that we're moving into a place where we are able to be sovereign to our divinity, so that we create a world where there is a lightness of being, you know. So in other words, we don't have this this density of vibration. We're actually in a much lighter place of being. So collectively, there is a much lighter field for all of us to dance in and play in. That sense of sovereignty, you know, and knowing to our divinity is then opens up what I call the mystery of life and the magical part. So, you know, I sometimes think of my lifetimes in Avalon and when I was a high priestess and how I could create fire with mind and, you know, with my hand and fire and all those things. And those are the magical things. And yes, they are things that I believe we'll get our magical power back, you know. But to do that, we have to be absolutely pure of heart. So the most important thing that this new world will do is that, or this new state of being will be, is that our vibration is so high that we are in our hearts and we are loving consciousness in every moment. So if you can imagine a world where, and I kind of think of it, a workshop I would run, or you ladies would run, or a beautiful evening that we might have of meditation, you know, that blissful feeling that we're all in this beautiful state together and we're just only open-hearted and loving, that kind of a consciousness. And then from that place, the mystery of life, so the flow of life. So no longer do we have to do things like from a place of thinking. We do things from a place of flowing and being. And so the magic happens, the mystery happens. We then start to open up to a metaphysical realm where our world could look very different. Like I've been into metaphysical meditations where I've seen dolphins swimming up through waterfalls. You know, I've seen polar bears drinking from lakes, you know, that weren't frozen. I mean, we only so for me, the new world will be beyond this world of limitation. and we'll be in a much lighter, higher vibration where love is the predominant and prevalent energy and frequency. And that's why we have to come into that place ourselves. We're doing this one by one. You know, yes, it's great to have a tribe. Yes, it's great that you've got my back and I've got your back. But actually, you and me, we have to do this. And we have to get our vibration to the point where we can radiate in that frequency of love. And then, you know, once enough of us do that, we then have that playground. So, yeah, I think we'll have a very magical kind of mystical kind of world in a way. And I think that, you know, we'll have, healing will take place through, well, all sorts of higher technical, you know, kind of frequency apparatus and whatever else. You know, a friend of mine said to me one day, and I will actually share this because it's quite relevant to today. She said, you know, do you think that she was kind of asking me what I thought was in the vaccine, blah, blah, blah. And I said to her, look, alchemy exists. Whatever's in the vaccine can be transformed into a higher consciousness. You know, it's like if we raise this vibration and we all end up in a higher frequency, the frequency of that will change. It'll be an alchemical process, you know. And so the alchemy of health, the alchemy of well-being, we won't need drugs.
No,
because we'll have that, they won't exist within the frequency. They'll be too dense. So we'll have healing that happens because there's a pillar of light there and I'm just about to walk into it. And as I come out the other side, gosh, that niggle that I had in my hip's gone. Because, you know, it's like that level of magic is what I think we're going to.
Wow, a world of spontaneous moments, unlimited imagination, free flow play and love, and abundance of all.
Absolutely.
Wow, how beautiful. I
Mm.
love the image of the dolphins swimming up the waterfall. That is a fabulous image.
Yeah. And you know, when we get into, you know, if you've ever had like a metaphysical kind of meditation where you've gone into that world, then you start to see the potential for yourself as well. You know, so we are so much more in terms of what we're capable of. And it's exciting. It is actually exciting. And I think, you know, probably a lot of people that are, you know, hopefully come on today and listen to this. I really encourage you to absolutely hold the faith, you know, hold the faith. And even though you may have days where you think, oh my goodness, how are we ever going to get out of this? You know, we are on a path to do it. We came here to do it, you know, and there is this incredible commitment from people. That's what I feel. I feel it very strongly. And maybe we're having to take such a strong stand in the lower frequency, the density of what's going on at the moment, because that's our commitment to be here to see this through. To absolutely see this through. Stay strong and true to self.
I totally agree with you, Helen, that we are getting stronger and stronger, and our light is getting brighter and brighter. I'm seeing it and I'm feeling it on the energetic level of life, that it doesn't matter what it appears that's happening out there, and it seems to be getting denser and tougher and tighter. Actually, we're getting stronger and brighter and more present. There's more of us becoming present in our bodies here, and that is the truth. That is the truth. And like, I'm seeing that and feeling that energetically. So for me, that is the truth of what is happening here. There's no stopping this. There's no stopping us. You know, we're the wave of light here, sweeping clean this world, and there's just no stopping that tsunami of love. There's nothing in existence that can stop that tsunami of love.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, you know, for people really, try and be really loving towards yourself. It's so easy to think, oh gosh, today I went down the rabbit hole, or today I watched too much social media, or whatever. It's like, just at night, go, thank you, Helen, for being the best version of yourself that you could be. And oh my goodness, thank you, the greater being that I am, for guiding me so well today. Just thank you. Because there's no room to judge ourselves anymore.
No.
We're doing the best we can, and we're here. There's no coincidence that we're here. So we have all the tools.
Yeah.
And yes, we might feel like we slip up, but that's only because humans judge. My light being doesn't go, oh, Helen, you did that terribly today. My light being goes, well done, girl. You held your light for another day, and it's shining more brightly every day. Yeah.
100%. 100% agree with everything you've said here.
Yeah. And I think it's just really great that you've got this platform and people can hear this, because we don't hear, it's like we don't hear anything but that stuff. I would just call it stuff.
Yes.
Yes. Everywhere we look, it actually takes quite an effort to stay clean. It actually that's a good point. It takes quite a lot of effort to stay clean. And so the more we can have these conversations, listen to some of the great healers and beings that are working with us, and bring. I was thinking of Laurie Ladd actually as one, and there are many out there, but I just, it's lovely to tune in. It is lovely to tune in. And just have that opportunity to remember.
Well, it's hope that's taking a lot of people through at the moment. And it's conversations like this and the enthusiasm and the realness of a conversation like this that gives hope to a lot of people. So it's
your cells in your body, people, will always dance to truth. That's what I so everyone listening, just every time your cells hear truth, there's a reaction to that. And so it's so important to hear that truth and to keep that purity of what you wish to absorb into your being.
And that whatever, I was just I wanted to say made, and I did have to make myself. It was really like consciously aware of what the heck was going on, and I had to really make this really tough decision, which took me about 48 hours to get the guts up to actually do. And in doing that, I knew that I was breaking a pattern of bullying in my own and abuse in my own life and pattern that was equivalent in the way that it affected my life to what is actually going on in the bullying and the control that's going on in the and on the planet at the moment. So I knew that if I didn't do something with this right now here, for me personally, and my family, basically, I was just feeding into what has been on and through our life and on this planet forever. So it was like I had to break that right now, and that was really huge for me. And I'm still processing that. It's only just occurred, but I also knew that in the moment, if I didn't do something, I would just be giving into what's happening here now. And so everything that we do within ourselves, and in that process of getting to know ourselves, clearing out and bringing more clarity and closeness to that self, by clearing cellular old wounding, all that sort of thing, we're also doing it for the collective. We're also moving it on a huge level in the collective field and for this planet, because what we shift in this body also shifts in her body, so we're moving it on such a huge level and huge scale. And I don't really believe everyone gets that either. I think, it's only we're just so in our little insular this is my thing here, not recognizing that it's actually affecting and is a connection to the collective. So there's a lot being done, and it's tiring.
And I think that does explain too why a lot of people are feeling some of their emotions more strongly, because it is in the field so strongly, and they are clearing it, so it's not just me doing my little journey here, it's actually me doing my journey as part of the collective journey.
Right,
and so there is that intensity
and
to it.
To allow the body to rest, because I feel there's been so much going on, so many levels, as we all know, with ourselves and this on the levels of the planet, even in the collective. It's exhausting. And it's not, this isn't, we've been working on self for eons, to get to this point. And I was excited coming in to do this. I have been all my life. I've been so excited knowing that this is why I birthed in here. Actually faced with it now, seeing the way that it's playing out was not how I had imagined. I didn't even know what I'd imagined, to be honest. But it certainly wasn't what I was thinking was going to be going on. So it's taken me by surprise as well. And I'm still, in my own ways, trying to work through the shock, because it's shocking me. And there is a shock in my body every time I hear somebody's been hurt or died even. It's like it's creating this huge shockwave for everybody as well. And more trauma to clear.
Absolutely.
So it's a big
And the thing about that is that it's and I'm not saying this in any way to unvalidate or whatever the word is any of the experiences, but every soul has chosen their path, and sometimes when it's just too big for our human emotion to handle, I just have to go back and go, I just honor those souls that are doing what they've come to do, and I just thank you. I thank you for your sacrifice, or whatever we want to call it. But from the soul's point of view, it's not a sacrifice, and the soul is always wanting to be of service, and if that's the best way that a soul can be of service, that we'll choose that. But that's the only way sometimes I can handle it, is my human emotion doesn't want to, it's like, it's just it's terrible, or all the judgments. So I just go into this, I just really honor those souls. I honor all the souls that have come to be part of this. And
it's huge. It is huge.
Yeah.
But, and we're all in it together, and we are getting through it, and we are, I think if we don't have some sort of something to maybe, head towards, whatever that picture might be, the best picture we can possibly create for ourselves and humanity and the planet, then, what are we doing? We're just stuck in it, really. So we need to think forward, really, and start looking and visualizing things in a bigger way forward, I think. Results that we want to see, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So, that's like every potential you've ever imagined that we could fulfill as more than our humanness as light beings. That's what we're capable of creating. And a lot of this, there's a lot of talk at the moment about, we can't go here and we can't go there if we're, the great unwashed or whatever. But, actually we can, that's going to help us go in here.
That's right.
So even that's a gift. That is a gift, because right now, if we're not there because of our choices, we need to be in here.
Absolutely. And I keep going back to Nelson Mandela when he was in jail, and he said he had, first he saw the jail bars, he saw the four walls, and he knew he was imprisoned. But eventually he was able to work within himself, and he never saw those walls or the jail bars anymore. He felt freedom within himself. So that was the way that, obviously it was a great way for him to get through that journey. And, I've always said this too, our greatest, not challenge, but I suppose achievement really in the sense of self-awareness and inner peace in particular, is to be able to sit on the most busiest street corner in the biggest city in the world and still be in meditative peace and calm within self,
Absolutely.
Still in here rather than out there with it. So, that's, I think, our sort of challenge in a sense is to find that inner peace wherever it is within, to be able to work through this journey, because it does take you on a horrendous bit of a journey sometimes. And, when we
Challenge.
venture outside of ourselves, for sure.
Absolutely. And again, everything's energy. So the feeling of freedom is an energy. And that energy, we are energy. You are energy, we are energy. So sometimes I just do, okay, I download the vibration of freedom into my being. May every cell in my body dance with the truth that I am freedom. I do these things. I mean, I do them in the car when I'm driving, and they just pop in. But yes, so every feeling that we have is absolutely an energy and something that no one can take from us. No one. They might take the external expression of what that freedom means to us, or places we can go, but they can never take away our freedom. And that's what Nelson Mandela was saying. You can lock me up, you can throw away the key, but I will always be a free person, because I can find that place within myself.
Isn't that what it's all about?
It is beautiful. Well, that's gorgeous. Thank you so much, Helen, for coming and joining us here, because it was great, and I was looking forward to this. This was a nice, relaxed conversation. Beautiful.
Yes, and hopefully, as we say.
And if anybody wants to get a hold of you, Helen, what is the best way of doing that?
Probably, obviously through Facebook and Messenger, I'm there. But I do also have a website, which is helenbarnesmystic.com. I believe. I think it's .com. Yes. But Facebook and Messenger, I'm pretty obvious, and Telegram and those places. So I think if you search me, you can find me. Yeah.
Great. Lovely. It's been such a wonderful time spent with you, and I knew it would be, because it always has been. So
well, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. So would it be okay for me to read my short poem to finish?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking, yes.
That's all right.
Yes,
sorry.
Please.
So I wrote this about, it's probably 3 months ago now. So it was at a time when we weren't as immersed as we are now, but I felt it was really appropriate to just read it today to finish. So here's my poem. Masked in fear, with individual thought gone, a new norm flows amongst the maddening crowd. Has all reason gone? I ask myself. Is discernment now a thing of the past? Where will time take the herd? I ponder as I chart my own direction. How do I do the right thing? Loaded with shoulds from the collective, I take a breath and turn inward, feeling my way through new territory. Surely my heart will guide me home, away from the rhetoric of those in power, back to my sovereign self as a free spirit, free thinker, a truth seeker.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, and so fitting for the conversation today. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, darling lady.
Thank you. I love you both, and I love all of our beautiful listeners too.
Yes, love you too, and you take great care of yourself, Helen, and we'll catch up again.
We will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.